I have kept quiet long enough, but what they did to Luka, that was personal.
The GOAT is about to drop the craziest secret behind the Luka Doncic trade, and trust me, whatever you've heard so far barely scratches the surface. Today I'm diving deep into the untold story of the Luka for Davis blockbuster. What I'm about to reveal will make you see this entire deal from a completely new angle. Wait until you find out how Diddy and LeBron got wrapped up in all of this. It's wild, the NBA moves fast. One moment, Luka Doncic is torching defenders in Dallas, smiling his way through 40-point nights like it's nothing. The next, he's reportedly packing his bags for Los Angeles. You'd think the Mavericks would be the last franchise on earth to trade their superstar, but hey, this is the NBA. Loyalty sounds nice until the salary cap hits and suddenly your franchise cornerstone is labeled an asset. When the news broke that Luka had been traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis and 2 future picks, the league didn't just react, it exploded. Shams Charania dropped the bomb first, and within minutes ESPN, Bleacher Report, and every basketball podcast on the planet were in full meltdown mode. The internet lost it. Everyone said Dallas had lost its mind while the Lakers were just doing what the Lakers always do, snatching up superstars. But here's the thing, it didn't come out of nowhere. If you've been paying attention, you could sense something brewing. There were quiet leaks about Luka's growing influence over team decisions, whispers of frustration with Jason Kidd's rotations, and those press conferences where Luka looked tired of pretending everything was fine. The Kyrie extension was meant to steady the ship, but that chemistry never truly clicked. Dallas wasn't burned out on Luka's game, they were burned out on the drama surrounding it. Still trading him? That's not a rebuild, that's a detonation. Luka wasn't just their best player, he was the Mavericks. He carried that team through every playoff push, every clutch moment, every season where the roster felt painfully average. He made Dallas relevant again. Even his teammates couldn't stop praising him. Derek Lively once said Luka made everyone better just by the attention he drew. Derek Jones Jr. went further. Luka's ability to read defenses makes you want to raise your game. Looking back now, those quotes hit differently, reminders of just how massive the whole Luka left behind really is.
Defenders, is it important that you now have a defensive player of the year candidate in Luka? He seems to think that he's telling us that he wants some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
This wasn't some impulsive last-minute move. According to sources close to the Lakers front office, the Luka trade had been quietly brewing for months, filled with late-night calls, luxury tax math, and a growing sense of urgency. The Lakers were staring down the inevitable, life after LeBron. And deep down, they knew Anthony Davis couldn't carry the torch alone. His health had become a coin toss, his production slipped, and the team unraveled every time he SAT.SO. The Lakers did what the Lakers do best. They went star hunting. Meanwhile in Dallas, emotions were split right down the middle. On one hand, fans were heartbroken. Luka was Dallas, the reason the Mavericks mattered again. But beneath that heartbreak was a strange sense of relief. The Mavs had been circling the same drain for years. Big regular seasons, short playoff runs, rinse, repeat. Maybe, just maybe, it was time for a reset. To their credit, Dallas didn't frame it as a teardown. Anthony Davis came with championship experience, elite defense, and a big market resume. Add Derek Lively, Grant Williams, and a few promising young pieces from those Lakers picks, and suddenly the front office was selling this as a transition, not a rebuild. You could almost see the logic. Almost? Still trading Luka for AD? That's like swapping a PlayStation 6 for a PlayStation 2 that still works, technically. But underneath all that chaos was a bigger truth. What does loyalty even mean in today's NBA? Luka wasn't just loyal, he built the Mavericks brand. He changed how people saw European players. But loyalty doesn't balance a salary cap. It doesn't protect your luxury tax margins. In today's league, loyalty's a slogan, not a strategy. Teams don't wait around anymore hoping things fix themselves. If there's tension, they move. If the numbers don't add up, they move. It's not emotional, it's math. Cold, calculated, spreadsheet-driven math. And that's what makes this trade so brutally honest. The Mavericks didn't deal Luka because he failed them. They dealt him because the system told them it made sense. The contracts aligned, the timing fit, and both sides were quietly ready for change. In a way, it's poetic. Luka wanted control. Dallas wanted structure. In the end, both got exactly what they asked for, just not the way they imagined. Now, the NBA has its new poster child for the modern superstar era. And what makes it so telling is how Luka handled it all. No cryptic tweets. No locker room meltdowns. No drama. Just silence. the kind that says everything. Meanwhile, Dallas is trying to rediscover itself. The early games without Luka show more balance, more ball movement, fewer isolation-heavy possessions. Lively looks confident. Kyrie's taking charge. Even Jason Kidd seems looser, less constrained. But you can still feel the void. And if this trade proved anything, it's that nobody, not even the player who made your city believe again, is untouchable. But here's the kicker. Just when everyone thought the chaos had peaked and the dust was settling, the real storm was about to begin. Because if the trade itself shocked the world, what came after turned into a full-blown PR disaster.
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level.
Nico Harrison, the Mavericks GM, had to walk straight into the fire. And honestly, it looked like he didn't realize just how deep Luka's love ran through Dallas until it was too late. He sat at that press conference talking about long-term strategy, roster balance, and sustainable depth. But fans weren't hearing any of that. What they heard was a man trying to rationalize losing the soul of their franchise. Then came the line that set everything ablaze, when Nico admitted he hadn't fully grasped the emotional weight Luka carried for the city. In that moment, it became crystal clear. The front office didn't understand what they were dismantling, because come on, wasn't it obvious? Luka was Dallas. From the murals downtown to the packed arena nights, from that electric rookie debut to every impossible step-back buzzer beater, he wasn't just the face of the team, he was its heartbeat. So when the guy running the show confessed he didn't realize how deep that bond went, the fans erupted. Nico tried to keep things polished and professional, corporate calm under chaos, but it came off cold and evasive. And that's where Dallas stumbled. They underestimated the emotion behind the moment. The trade itself might have been inevitable, but the rollout? That was a disaster. The tone, the wording, the lack of empathy, it all turned a basketball decision into a citywide heartbreak. Because to the fans, this wasn't about salary caps or roster construction. This was about losing the one player who made them believe again. Then Luka's father spoke up, publicly calling out the front office for their lack of transparency, and that was like throwing gasoline on an open flame. Suddenly, Dallas was scrambling, reacting instead of leading. What the Mavericks forgot was simple. How you deliver news can matter just as much as the news itself. The PR team wanted to sound strategic. Instead, they sounded soulless. Nico's honesty about misjudging Luka's impact might have been genuine, but it came across like an accidental confession, one that only deepened the wound. While the front office fumbled through damage control, the awkward interviews, the forced optimism, the spin, the entire situation started to feel like it had hit a wall. The fans were furious. And the league? The league was buzzing. Because trades like this never stay contained for long. As soon as the official statement dropped, everyone had something to say, ex-players, analysts, podcasters, even random TikTok commentators. It felt like the entire NBA community was on edge, waiting for the next explosion. And it came fast. LeBron James was the first big name to react. And the irony couldn't have been richer. This was the same guy who once flipped the sports world upside down with the decision in 2010. If anyone understood the chaos of a league-shaking move, it was him. At first, LeBron thought it was fake. He literally said he had to double-check that it wasn't a parody account.
And I got the news, and the first time I heard it, I thought it was for sure fake. That was a hoax. People messing.
But once it was confirmed, LeBron switched gears. The disbelief turned into intrigue.
Luka is one of my favorite players in the NBA today. From the simple fact of the way I play the game is exactly how I love the way he plays.
He started talking about how he'd always dreamed of sharing the floor with Luka, called it one of those once-in-a-generation alignments. Classic LeBron. The moment the words left his mouth, the internet split in half. Some fans were all in. Of course he's hyped, it's Luka. Others rolled their eyes, convinced he was just doing what LeBron does best. Reading the room, steering the narrative, playing the media like a violin. Still, there was something about his tone, that glimmer of excitement in his voice, that felt real. Genuine. Like even he couldn't help but get caught up in the gravity of what this pairing meant. Meanwhile, back in Dallas, the energy couldn't have been more different. Dirk looked like someone had just told him they were tearing down the American Airlines Center and replacing it with a Starbucks. That same building he helped fill night after night, the one Luka carried after him. Suddenly, it felt like a museum for something that didn't exist anymore.
Back and my phone just starts blowing up left and right, and then I kind of looked on social media, and I think I was as shocked and surprised as ever.
Dirk built the Mavericks culture from the ground up, brick by brick, season by season. And now he was sitting there watching it all get flipped upside down for a trade that looked more like a spreadsheet formula than a basketball move. He didn't need to say much. His silence in that interview said it all. Every pause, every half smile that faded too quickly, you could feel the disappointment tucked between the lines, and that hit fans hard. Because if there's one player who embodied loyalty, it was Dirk. He stayed when others would have left. He endured the rebuilds, the heartbreaks, the close calls, and he still brought Dallas a championship. To see him look that deflated? That's when it really sank in. Luka wasn't just gone. An era had ended. Then came Kyrie Irving's take, calm, measured, and surprisingly grounded. He spoke with respect, saying losing Luka felt like losing a brother. But true to Kyrie form, he found balance in the chaos. He welcomed Anthony Davis to Dallas, talked about new opportunities, shared energy, and the idea of a fresh start. It was classic Kyrie, poetic, layered, and just ambiguous enough that you couldn't tell whether he was grieving the past or already manifesting the future.
So it's still a grieving process right now. Miss my hermano. We had a lot of time together. Keith too, and Maxi.
You could see it in Kyrie's eyes. He was trying to hold the team together while keeping his emotions from spilling out. And the fans felt that. The comments under that interview were flooded with empathy. You can tell he's hurting, but he's trying to be the adult in the room. Man's grieving in real time. Then came Giannis Antetokounmpo, and somehow he managed to turn the whole thing into a cultural moment. When reporters asked him what he thought about Luka heading to Los Angeles, Giannis just smiled, that knowing, half-amused grin he does, and said this: Luka in LA? That's not just basketball. That's history repeating. Europe gave the NBA Dirk, now it gives it Luka. Different city, same dream. It was simple, but it hit like a headline. Within hours, that quote was everywhere. ESPN graphics, viral TikToks, even billboards in Slovenia. Giannis had taken what felt like chaos and reframed it as destiny, and for a moment, the whole conversation shifted. What started as outrage and heartbreak turned into something bigger. A reflection on legacy, on identity, on how global the game had become. Luka wasn't just changing teams. He was changing eras.
Luka to the Lakers. I want Jokic to the Knicks. I want all the Europeans to go to all the big markets.
That was classic Giannis, humble, thoughtful, and quietly revolutionary. But the thing is, he wasn't wrong. For years, international stars carried this unspoken label, that they were better suited for smaller markets, that the spotlight belonged somewhere else. Luka going to LA shattered that narrative in one move. It was more than a trade, it was a statement. And Giannis's grin said it all. Yeah, it's time we took the spotlight too. But then came one of the most unexpected voices in the storm, Jaylen Brown. His comments didn't come from a press conference or a tweet. They came from Netflix's Starting 5 docuseries, and he didn't hold back. Sitting across from the interviewer, arms crossed and tone steady, he looked straight into the camera and said it. This might go down as one of the worst trades of all time. The clip hit the internet like a sledgehammer. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Sports talk shows, highlight channels, Twitter threads dissecting every word. Jaylen wasn't just questioning the move. He was voicing what a lot of players were already thinking but didn't dare to say out loud.
That might be like one of the worst trades all time.
And coming from a player who's lived through his own share of trade rumors, that hit differently. Jaylen's reasoning was hard to argue with too. It's not just about losing Luka's numbers, he said. It's about losing the identity he gave Dallas. That line spread like wildfire, trending for days, half because fans agreed and half because it sounded straight out of a sports movie trailer. It captured exactly what everyone was feeling but couldn't quite put into words. And then somehow Austin Reeves got pulled right into the middle of it all. As the new look Lakers roster started to take shape, Reeves suddenly found himself under a spotlight he hadn't exactly asked for. The questions came fast. How do you feel about sharing the court with Luka? What happens to your role now? Reporters framed it like a rivalry waiting to happen, a battle between the rising American underdog and the European superstar stepping into Hollywood. But Reeves handled it like a pro. He didn't flinch, didn't take the bait. Instead, he smiled and said, "Man, if Luka's here, that just means we're trying to win. That's all I care about." Simple. Professional. But fans could tell there was more underneath. A mix of excitement, maybe a little pressure, and the realization that this season was about to redefine everyone involved.
Like, I got the white boy. I'm like, it's gonna be hell.
Reeves had opened up before about what he called the white guy stigma in the NBA, how players like him or Luka often get boxed into certain labels until they start dominating. So when he spoke about the trade, it wasn't just about basketball, it was about representation too. That he said the league needed to start judging players for what they do, not what they look like. It was a bold, personal take, one that added a whole new layer to how people viewed the Luka trade. Suddenly, it wasn't just a roster shakeup. It was part of a bigger conversation about identity, perception, and how the game still wrestles with its own biases. And then, because the internet never misses a chance to get weird, Flea. Yes, that Flea. The Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist showed up on the same podcast with Austin Reeves and stole the show for a minute. Laughing, half yelling in that chaotic, lovable Flea way, he said, "Man, I lost it when I heard Luka was coming. I was running around my house in my underwear like it was 99 again." The clip went viral instantly. Fans loved it, part comedy, part chaos, part pure Los Angeles energy. But beneath the laughter, there was something symbolic about it too. Luka's arrival wasn't just shaking up basketball, it was bleeding into pop culture, music, celebrity circles. The trade had officially transcended sports.
He said the Lakers got Luka. I was like, haha, you know, yeah.
Yep.
And literally, and he goes,
Everyone's
no,
right.
he goes, they're trading AD for Luka, and I was just like, F you. You know,
Flea was on a roll. He said he had to sit down when he heard the news, almost fell over, and couldn't believe the Lakers had actually traded Anthony Davis for Luka. After the initial shock wore off, he called it insane, like something straight out of a video game. He couldn't stop raving about Luka's talent and how electric the upcoming season was going to be, and he wasn't alone. Suddenly, it wasn't just the NBA that was buzzing, it was Hollywood. Celebrity fans started flooding timelines like it was opening night at the Oscars. John Legend, a lifelong Lakers devotee, couldn't hide his excitement either. He posted a clip grinning ear to ear, talking about how Luka and LeBron running the same offense felt like. This city just upgraded its main event. You could almost hear him already picturing the bright lights, the sellouts, the spectacle. Even beyond basketball, the reactions kept coming. Patrick Mahomes, who's followed Luka since his rookie days in Dallas, admitted the trade actually hit him. "Man, watching Luka leave Dallas felt like seeing your favorite movie character get recast mid-series." He said that it was the perfect line. Funny, real, and painfully accurate. Luka's move wasn't just a trade anymore. It had become a pop culture moment, the kind that blurs the line between sports, fame, and storytelling.
Happy for him that he's going to be able to go out there and be in LA and get to try to achieve his dream of winning a champion.
And then there was Ants Kopitar, captain of the LA Kings, fellow Slovenian and longtime Luka supporter. He couldn't stop smiling when asked about the trade, calling it massive not just for the Lakers but for every Slovenian who's ever dreamed big. For him, this wasn't just a sports story, it was a national one. That's when it really became clear. This trade didn't just shake the NBA. It rippled through everything: music, football, hockey, pop culture. Anywhere people cared about stars, about legacy, about stories bigger than the game itself. Luka's move had reached them. It was no longer just a transaction. It was a cultural moment. But through all the noise, the celebrity reactions, the debates, the memes, one voice cut through louder than the rest.
Don't let Diddy's world pull you in. One of your teammates already made it.
And just like that, the entire conversation flipped on its head. Fans started dissecting every word, every syllable, every pause. What did MJ mean by Diddy's world? To some, it sounded like a subtle jab at the whole celebrity party ecosystem, a critique of how the game's brightest stars sometimes get lost in the noise. But to others, it cut deeper. It felt like MJ was drawing a line in the sand, between the old-school, grind-obsessed generation that lived for basketball and the new era where fame moves faster than the game itself. Naturally, all roads led back to LeBron. Let's be real, MJ and LeBron have never exactly been friends. There's respect, sure, but it's the kind that comes with ice in the handshake. So when fans heard one of Jordan's lines aimed toward Luka, it felt personal. Like a warning, don't become LeBron 2.0. And that's when things really got messy. Not long ago, LeBron was Luka's biggest supporter, calling their connection a once-in-a-generation alignment. Now, people were asking whether LeBron's excitement had ever been about basketball at all, or if he was pulling Luka closer to that shadowy Diddy network everyone whispers about. Which brings us to the real question: what does this entire trade saga mean for Luka Doncic's place in the NBA hierarchy? Because at this point, the debate isn't just about what team he plays for. It's about what this move means for how fans, players, and the culture at large see him. Luka isn't just a player anymore. He's a symbol. Before the trades and the headlines, he'd already built a legacy most players chase for a decade. From the moment he stunned crowds as a teenager in Europe to his rookie nights in Dallas, Luka wasn't just good, he was generational. By his early 20s, he was stacking triple-doubles, breaking records, and hitting physics-defying stepbacks like they were routine. He didn't just raise the bar, he bent it. Then came the trade, and with it the narrative shifted. Words like loyalty, legacy, and greatness started getting thrown around again. Suddenly, Luka was being compared to the great modern wanderers, LeBron, Durant, Kawhi, players who left home, switched teams, and rebuilt their stories one headline at a time. The question hanging in the air, can Luka pull off a move like LeBron and end up legendary, or will the fans turn on him the moment he stumbles? Jason Kidd once said that balancing franchise dynamics with player vision defines legacies as much as championship rings do. And right now, Luka is living that quote in real time. The media's feeding frenzy hasn't helped. Analysts like Zach Harper and Steve Ashburner have already broken down the optics. Harper says Luka thriving under LA's blinding spotlight could turn him into a global brand. Ashburner warns that in this city, every pass, tweet, and camera angle becomes a headline. Even Dwayne Wade chimed in, reminding everyone that trades like this aren't just basketball decisions. They're branding, business, and legacy all wrapped into one. Because at this level, nothing happens in a vacuum. Every move, every word, every smile carries meaning, and Luka Doncic, willingly or not, has just become the face of the next era of NBA superstardom.
Biggest market in the world for sports is the Lakers.
A player like Luka in Los Angeles doesn't just change the scoreboard, he changes the entire economy of the game. His presence alone shifts sponsorship deals, spikes merchandise sales, and turns every camera lens his way. The ripple effect reaches far beyond the Staples Center. It's global, but to really understand what this means you have to zoom out. Luka Doncic trade isn't just another blockbuster move. It's a message from the league itself, a reminder that in modern basketball no one is untouchable. The old idea of a franchise cornerstone, of a player staying loyal from draft night to retirement, is officially on life support. The NBA just proved again that superstars aren't just athletes anymore. They're assets, currencies that fluctuate with every headline, every tweet, every dip in the standings. And then came Devin Booker's take, sharp, honest, and painfully true. He said, if Luka can get traded, anyone can. That's not shade, that's the league now. Loyalty's a highlight reel, not a contract. That line hit like a buzzer beater. Because Booker wasn't just talking about Luka, he was talking about all of them. Every star watching this trade unfold knows that the ground beneath their sneakers isn't as solid as it used to be. Luka's move wasn't just a transaction. It was a turning point, a shift in the balance between loyalty and leverage, between legacy and business. And for better or worse, the NBA may never look the same again.
Everybody's claimed as untouchable and untradeable, and the NBA shows you again.
Translation? If the right deal comes along, even the guys you thought were lifers, the ones who'd retire in the same jersey they were drafted in, can be gone overnight. That shift in mentality is going to reshape everything. Franchises will think twice before promising loyalty, and players will start treating home like a stop, not a destination. And then Kevin Durant, always the realist, always the one who's seen both sides, summed it up in classic KD fashion. He called the trade weird, then added, the league's a wild place. You think you've seen it all, and then boom, something crazier happens. Coming from Durant, that hit differently. The man's been traded, criticized, celebrated, and everything in between. When he says the league's unpredictable, it's not just commentary, it's lived experience. That he went on to say that Luka's move might be the clearest sign yet that the NBA isn't about comfort anymore. It's about control. Players want leverage. Teams want flexibility. And sometimes that means breaking hearts to balance books.
I never thought Luka Doncic would get traded at this age, mid-season. Yes, the NBA is a wild place, man. If he can get traded, then anybody's up,
And honestly, he's got a point. The NBA has always thrived on chaos, but a trade this massive dropped like an earthquake, the kind that makes every player suddenly check their contract twice. This isn't just another headline move, it's a full-on reality check for how the league operates. For years, we've watched teams try to build super squads. Miami, Golden State, Brooklyn, stacking talent to chase rings. But this is something else entirely. It's not just about who plays where anymore, it's about how loyalty, money, and marketing power all clash in real time. From now on, front offices are going to play the game differently, faster, sharper, and maybe even a little colder. And the players? They'll start thinking on a global scale. Where can they boost their brand, legacy, and leverage all at once? Luka's trade didn't just shake up two franchises, it sent a message across the whole league. The ripple effect's already in motion. New alliances forming, new strategies brewing, and maybe a few teams realizing no one's untouchable anymore. By 2026, the NBA could look like a whole different universe. New faces, new power moves, same drama, just turned up to 11. So tell me, did the Mavs just blow up their future, or did the Lakers just pull off the greatest heist since Shaq and Kobe? Drop your takes below. Are you Team Luka or Team Dallas will bounce back? And if you're living for this madness, hit that like, drop a sub, and buckle up, because this NBA saga is just getting started.